deepening our relationship with the Lord. Okay. One, for example, is that dullness of hearing. Okay. This is a sign of immaturity. No? A sign of spiritual immaturity. Sabi dito, of whom we have much to say. Kasi, yun nga, sabi ng author, I have so much to say about the priesthood of Jesus, about what Jesus had done, and what Jesus is capable of, and all the goodness of God to Jesus, and how Jesus was exalted to the highest of the heavens because of his obedience. We have so much to say, but hard to explain since you have become dull of hearing. Dull of hearing. Ano yung dull? Mapurol. Hindi naman ibig sabihin hindi nakakarinig. Pero mapurol na. Parang kutsilyo. Ang dull na kutsilyo, nakaputol pa rin yan. Pero ang hirap makaputol. Parang ito din. You have dull of hearing. Ang hirap mong makarinig. Okay? Ang hirap mong makarinig. And the Hebrews had become dull of hearing. Ito yung sabi ng author dito. The Hebrews had become dull of hearing. This prevented the writer from continuing with this argument at the moment. Kasi makikita nyo, meron siyang in-insert niya to siya. Then later on, he continued with about the priesthood of Jesus under Melchizedek. Okay? I-insert din natin to ngayon. Kasi while the material he had to share was hard to explain, okay, it wasn't so much the difficulty of the material itself na gustong i-represent or i-present ng author, okay, as it was their own inability to receive it. Kasi yung material na pinag-usapan natin, yung subject is yung si Jesus as a king, as a priest, as a high priest. Pero gaya nga ng sabi ko, there are times that in our sermons we referred back everything to Jesus, and we exemplify, and we tawag noon yung give significance to who Jesus is. But there are times also in our sermon that we have to give significance also to how this Jesus becomes significant to us. Paano ito siya nag-work? Kasi ito yung gusto ipakita ng author ng author dito sa about Jesus, that they are having difficulty of understanding because they become dull. That they had become dull of hearing the implied regression na sinasabi. At one time they were not dull of hearing. They may have been like the Bereans at one time who received the word with all readiness. Maybe some of us is like that. When we receive the word, we are so eager and excited, okay, and aggressive to learn more about it. But later on, we regress. Okay, there are regression. Okay, indeed, most converts are truly sharp in their listening at first. Yung unang-una natin pakakilala sa Panginoon, sobrang sharp natin. Bakit? Because there is willingness. Okay? Merong willingness, very open pa tayo to learn. But somehow later on, due to the course of corrections, due to the course of exposure also sa mundo, mas malawak yung exposure natin sa mundo rather than our exposure more to God, nagre-regress tayo. Okay? Now, they are excited about what they are learning, ang mga bago noon. When we are bago also, they listen with great readiness and spiritual growth. Of course, nag-uumpisa talaga. But it is not uncommon for apathy to set in, making one dull of hearing. When one becomes dull of hearing, they begin to regress to a state of spiritual immaturity. Are we dull of hearing? Tayo ba ay papurol na sa pakikinig? We have to ask ourselves these questions. Is the Bible dull? Okay. Are the Bible study we have are dull? Are the sermons or our fellowships became dull? Is anything that is spiritual in nature, like our worship, our prayers, our intercession, became dull? Okay? If so, then we have become dull of hearing. Pag ito ay nag-regress na tayo dito sa mga bagay na to, yung excitement is less, then we are in the danger of having the dull of hearing. If you listen at all, it will be to those who are willing to tickle your ears. Okay? Naging selective hearers na tayo. And we will become susceptible to being misled. Kasi nga, we just wanted to hear what we wanted to hear. Kung ano yung, and sometimes, during, tawag yun, yung counseling, many come into counseling, ito lang na-notice ko in general perspective, no? Many come to counseling actually not to seek the truth. Okay? Many come to counseling because they seek sympathy. And that is very dangerous when the counselor doesn't know how to weigh and doesn't have a godly judgment in terms of perspective. Kasi ang tendency niyan, pwede tayong mag-compromise in our counsel. Counseling and giving counsel sometimes, it could be harsh especially when you use the word of God. And that is why, that is where correction and rebuke comes around. Masakit siya. The word of God sometimes is hurting. But it could help us get away of our dullness of hearing. Okay? When one is dull of hearing, it is only natural that the next mark of spiritual immaturity will be evident. Pag may pagkapurol ka na sa pakikinig, ang second niyan, you have the inability to teach others. Okay? We have the inability, meaning to say, we are not capable of teaching others. Sabi sa verse, for though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. Okay? The Hebrews should have been able to teach others. They have been Christian for some time. Okay? They had time to learn and to grow. This is a natural response to growth, is to bear fruit. Okay? One way to bear fruit is by teaching others. Okay? And that is why I keep on telling you, encouraging you, that you have to desire to be able to teach others, to disciple others. In one way or another, they should have been able to teach others. Perhaps not in formal sense, for not all are gifted in that way. Hindi naman lahat talaga may formal way of teaching others. Okay? But the point is, you have this eagerness, persistency na to be able to teach. And to be able to do that, you have to learn by yourself. You have to know yourselves. You have to eat solid food and not milk. You have to change your diet. Okay? Their need for someone to teach them again, the first principles, yung sabi ng writer, demonstrated their spiritual immaturity. They are immature. So, the question is, are we able to teach others? Assuming that sufficient time has passed, are you teaching others? Sabihin natin, marami ng tao nang dumaan sa pagiging Christian natin. Nakapagturo na ba tayo sa iba? Nakapag-disciple na ba tayo? Nakapag-encourage na ba tayo? Yung buhay ba natin ay nakapag-encourage na? Let me focus also, let me sidetrack also in one thing. Not only by teaching others by what we say, but not also by principles, but also by your life that you set an example. Kasi madaling magturo, madaling magturo, pero napakahirap ipakita sa buhay natin yung tinuturo natin. Kasi ito yung pinakauna, yung buhay natin eh. Kaya nga ito yung nakakalungkot, no? The reason why believers or Christians shun to other teachers, yung parang yung tawag nun, yung even they are good in teaching, kahit na magagaling pa magturo, pero yung buhay nila nakakasakit. Ano nangyayari? Nagre-regress pa rin yung tinuturuan. Nagre-regress. And somehow, for many people, they find it difficult to see themselves na sa kanila ang problema, yung sa mga nagtuturo. Kasi una-una kasi supposedly, the Christ character should have been the one who encourages us to teach and not the other way around. Hindi yung teaching natin ang nag-encourage sa atin to change our character. It should be our character, the character of Christ that is in us, who enabled us to teach others to do the same. Hindi yung magaling ako magturo, marami akong alam, and then I will teach them regardless of my character. Hindi ganon, kapatid. Yung character natin ang nag-encourage for us to teach. Kaya nakakalungkot, no? Okay? Now, do we find ourselves saying, I don't know what to say? Then it sounds like you have forgotten the first principle and you need to have someone teach you again. Ito yung sometimes it needs for us to get a mentor. Okay? Ako dinesire ko talaga. I wanted to learn. That is why when I submitted to my mentors, I submitted also to their correction. Irregardless of masakit o hindi. Minsan naiiyak ako. Oo, umiyak talaga ako. And sometimes it hurts. But it made me who I am today because of the help of God. Sa grace din ng mga taong ito, the grace ng Panginoon sa mga taong ito na ginamit ng Panginoon. Okay? And it's a long process. It's not overnight. So, paano ma-enhance ang character? By doing it every day. Patience is not gained overnight. It is gained by yung bombardment ng ang daming klase-klaseng tao na sisasaktan ka. Do we think that we can just learn the character of Christ by studying it? No, I'm sorry. Hindi po yun ganun kadali, kapatid. If one has not progressed to the point where they are somehow teaching others about Christ, then they are spiritually immature.